Another day in the fish room. We're still in prep mode for our first wholesale order. That should be landing next week. We have the tanks ready for them. You can see I've been testing if the tanks are cycled. I moved some of my fish in this tank and started feeding pretty heavy to see what the new tanks can handle, and so far they haven't had a bacterial bloom or anything like that, which is great. So I think most of these tanks are, cycled and ready to go. We also have some new fry to move and some other special tanks to set up. Let's get started. These are the blue mosaic elephant ear strain of guppies that I got a while back from Guppy Train. And Guppy Train, has very high quality fish that they import. The problem is they don't breed them, so they don't know if they breed true or not. And unfortunately with this strain, they don't breed true at all. So the male I got was, very beautiful. He was one of my favorites. I was super excited about this strain. Usually when I have a tank scaped, it's overgrown now, but if I have a tank scaped, it usually means that I really like the fish and I'm maintaining that scape because I'm constantly interacting with the tank. These males, you can see one there. That might be the best looking one in the center of the screen there. Not at all what the original male looked like, and those are the original females I have here. That's something that draws me to a strain of guppies, is when the females look good as well. So what I'm going to do today is move these guys into another tank. I don't know what I'm going to do. I want to just get rid of them altogether, but we're kind of all in quarantine. There's no club auctions, no stores are probably going to take them right now. So we'll figure that out another time. But what's exciting about this tank is it's going to become the new home for a very special strain of guppy that I was able to work with someone and get them shipped to me. So I won't say what it is, but we'll do a video on the reveal because it's something that I've wanted for a long time and it's really hard to get. Got most of the guppies out and did a lot of trimming, and I didn't realize in this tank what a healthy and good looking strain of yellow shrimp there is. There were so many plants in here. You can see here, it's like almost, it's a nice quarter bucket full of trimmings. So that created the perfect environment for fry to survive and little shrimp. These guys look good. I did this with another tank. I threw a couple of my yellows in the tank with the red ear koi guppies, and for some reason that line turned green. So these guys have actually kept the true yellow back, which is actually something I don't select for. I prefer when the shrimp have a uniformly yellow body, kind of like these guys, but more deep yellow. See, I have them, my breeding tank here, but I purposely try to breed shrimp and it becomes a mess. This tank here, if you saw the last day in the fish room video, this was, we cleaned this tank up. This was the orange shrimp tank. I got all the fish out. I found 3 orange shrimp in here. That's a good looking one right there. I ordered some more and we have the new shrimp tank waiting over here. But I try to do it on purpose and it goes terribly wrong. I ignore it and just focus on the fish, and we have, a thriving colony of shrimp in here. And even with all those adult guppies in there and juveniles, because it was so heavily planted and the plants kind of took over, little fry are able to survive. So I might have to change my game plan with the new guppies. I might have to quarantine them in a different tank. I was just going to quarantine them in this 20-gallon because, that'll be their permanent tank anyway. Oh, and see, even that big female evaded capture. She was hiding in the back. I'm going to have to probably do this over several days because, you definitely don't want to throw, even if one of these fry slips by, and I put the very new and very valuable to me guppies in here, and that fry is in there and grows up without me noticing and mixes with that strain, the strain's ruined. So yeah, I'm gonna have to do this over a couple days, catch every single fish in here, and probably quarantine the new guppies somewhere else. Did a gravel vac and water change on this tank, and while I was doing that, I realized that this is probably one of the most balanced tanks in the fish room. There wasn't a ton of detritus or mulm. It wasn't really dirty. The plants were probably filtering a lot of that. And the shrimp population, you know, we can see here I put some food there for them. I think I have more in this tank than I do in my dedicated 10-gallon yellow shrimp tank. You know, they're all over the place. And there were a ton of fish in here. The water changes weren't, you know, too frequent. I wasn't really paying attention too much to this tank, and they exploded. And part of that, I think, is because there are no snails in here to compete with them. And, you know, I don't think that... what I've learned is you can't have a booming snail population and a shrimp population. I think one outcompetes the other over time. Like, I think there were snails in here at one point. I don't remember them not being snails in here. But when you look at this tank here, there are snails everywhere. And, you know, I think the shrimp are still out competing them, but there are still a lot of snails in here. And I think what led to the decline in this tank with the blue velvets, we got a lot of adult snails in here and not many shrimp, and no shrimplets at all. If we look in this tank, we have the lemon blue-eyed bristlenose. You can see he's got wigglers in the back, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these guys. When I don't pull the babies out of the cave, you end up with a tank looking like this. A little bit of a mess. Plecos have kind of taken over. You can see fry from all different ages. We got some super small ones there, my breeding female. We got like a 1-inch fry right here. And it's hard to feed all the plecos, like especially the little ones, because they're competing for food. So now that I have the tank space, I'm gonna move them to their own tank. You can see all the little guys here. And there's already a new batch on the way. So I'd rather have them in a bare bottom tank that I can target feed them, and I can feed them super heavy so that they grow really fast, versus in here where they have to compete with all different sized adults. Even though I put like 3 blocks of rapashi and different sides of the tank, there's just too many in here. So we're gonna grab these guys and put them in a new tank. I think I'll also have to capture some of these 1-inchers and put them in a tank so I can put them on the website. I caught a good amount of the plecos, but I didn't realize there's so many in here. So I can't go through the rocks, and I don't want to tear this tank apart. So I actually made this little trap of sorts with my net and some nice yummy rapashi in there. We'll see if they're already starting to creep towards it. We'll see how many we get in there, and hopefully I could just scoop it up before anyone, you know, swims out. Probably should have did this for the beginning, because I already have more than I caught total so far in the net. Got a lot of plecos here. Didn't catch all of them. I'd say this is about half. I figured I'd show them while we can see them really well. And we got a ton of cherry shrimp by accident on the back there on the mat and filter. But I'm going to add some hiding places, some frog bits, that floating plant, and you know, these guys can eat without having to compete with the adults, and I can easily gravel vac this aquarium because there's no substrate on the bottom. Figured while I was messing around this tank, I'd give it a nice trim. Took all this water sprite that was really bundled up on the top here and blocking the light down low. I just cut it right off. That'll grow back in nicely. But then I noticed the amount of cherry shrimp in here is crazy. Just the more I look, it's like a little army of them. And they all look really good. I'm not seeing a lot that need to be culled. I haven't been culling, which I should be, but I didn't realize there were this many in the tank. That was another day in the fish room. Keep your eye out for the next videos about the very special guppies coming and that wholesale order. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.